I'm not convinced I know how to read. I've just memorized a lot of words.
The first rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club.
True. All life ends in death, which we, as a species, are cursed with knowing, resulting in something. Again, this is really not my field.
It is the Al Travis Show. And we love to have her on. She's Senator Susan Kent. It's clean up in aisle 9, or yeah, but Senator, if we could start with this, a little something less egregious. So yesterday, and this is getting old.
I just have to, like, you do this little setup, and I'm like, okay, what am I in for now?
Okay, and get excited. Yesterday, I'm shooting the show, and we put it on the Facebook Live and the YouTube thing, and it all looks fuzzy. It just doesn't look clear, and I'm like, something must be on the lens of the camera. So I get a rag out, and I'm cleaning the lens of the camera, and then do the next one. I'm like, God, that didn't get any better. And it occurred to me that my glasses were smeared. and I realized getting old sucks. So that I'm going to let that go. I talked about it yesterday, but then you, just for folks who know, we're just chatting just before we go on, and you know what we're going to chat about, whatever. And just before we go on, you give me the Al, you idiot face. I'm like, oh, what? And I'm like, what? You're like, no, just squinting at the screen. Old age sucks. I totally took it like, oh, she's mad as heck at me. I mean, what is that? Like,
what did I say now? Right.
It's not good getting old. I mean, the alternative isn't any better, but it's. Right. Oh, yeah. So anyway,
it has its downsides, yes.
But yeah, you gave me the weird look. I've been
squinting since I was 7 years old, though, so that's nothing new for me. So
I rock and rolled it until 40, and then because the computers weren't really there, but at 40 years old, whatever, I did a lot of computer time, and then I was coming home with headaches. I didn't feel right. Wife finally said, go to the eye doctor. I go to the eye doctor. He goes, your eyesight's fine. You just need reading glasses. Like, what? At 40, I turned into my grandmother. And I don't like it at all. And since then, as long as I have reading glasses, I'm good to go. So anyway.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. I wasn't here with you last week because.
What was your problem with that? Why?
It was not a problem. I told you I was at a conference. You'll appreciate this. Okay. This was there's an organization, it's a national organization called the Institute of Nonprofit News. And they had their annual convention this year in Minneapolis. So I got to go to a convention, and I only had to drive there through I-94 road construction 3 times back and forth. Anyway.
I know you live in Woodbury, and we give a quick plug to Woodbury. Woodbury is a beautiful slice of heaven next to the cities. It really is. Yes. But why you people live up there is beyond me. I don't know where I was going and the detour and the thing, and I'm like, people stopping and going,
That's the reason we have 2 seasons in Minnesota, winter and road construction. Yes, exactly. But anyway, it was like 500 of these member organizations who are doing nonprofit news around the country. And like MinnPost is one of them, and Sahan Journal here, and then us, Woodbury Newsnet, and then our 3 Metro startup friends in Eden Prairie and Prior Lake and Carver County, and others that are doing it. And it's in tough times, and between the legislative session and then Congress and everything else, these are people who are doing really hard, really good work to try to support their communities and not for profit. Literally not for profit, not for glory, but because they think it's something that needs to be done. And so I was gathered with some of my own girlfriends last night, and we were all sort of looking for what's the good news, right? And I was like, the good news is good news.
Let me ask you this: when you're in the news biz, like you are over there, the Woodbury Newsnet, I can see why you need it. Again, back up in the city. So, what, the 8th biggest city in the state or something crazy number?
Now 7. I learned that just last week. We made up to 7. I think we knocked out.
You've been popping babies out like this and that up there. My goodness. Okay. So you're big city, if you will, and you look at the major newspapers. Those actually print on paper anymore. I mean, I get where they're coming from. You even look at television news. Everybody grabs a side, right? You're lefty, you're righty, whatever. You pick your poison and run. Well, then all of a sudden, little Woodbury's like, well, who's covering what matters to us, right? I mean, so I get where you're coming from. But let's use Woodbury because you guys are going to be in the news for the next 10 days, at least, with the Senator Mitchell deal. How much does the Woodbury Newsnet...
I enjoy this conversation. Yes.
I know you don't, but I don't mean it in you pick a side on this. What I mean by this, you're the news network of note in Woodbury. She is your senator. Yes. You would think the Star Trib and the Pioneer, but they will cover this enough. This isn't the we need to dig up info kind of story because it should be out there. Do you guys glance over and say, yeah, it's a story. We know it. We're looking at the school board meeting. I mean, how do you decide when it's yours or not?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And that's a good example because like the way I put it, living in a suburb of the Twin Cities where, we're all familiar with the concept of the news desert in small rural communities, right?
Thank you.
They've lost their paper and it's that, and that is a very serious, real problem. But people don't think of suburbs as a news desert because we got all the news we want, right? We got all the TV stations, we've got all the papers, we've got all sorts of media and local radio and everything. But nobody talks about, we know all sorts of things about the Minneapolis City Council, but we don't know anything about our own. Because the major metro news only comes to the suburbs when there's like violence or tragedy or a scandal or something like that. So this is actually a very good example. There's not we can do some local sort of angles on the story of Nicole Mitchell and speak to, how that affects Woodbury. And a lot of that has to do with, like, if she gets convicted in the next couple weeks, there will probably then be delays and appeals and different things like that. So who knows? But once she is officially convicted, and
if she is,
if she is, then in principle that seat becomes vacant automatically, and then a special election is called. And so, and the laws and how that. So, but all of that affects this community. And like when I was hanging with my girlfriends last night, that came up, and it's like, so what's going to happen? And so so there is a local issue to that is different than is sometimes talked about. But we do tend to cover, hey, we got a new restaurant and Topgolf is opening. It's really cool. And
in Woodbury?
Yeah.
Are you inviting me to the grand opening? I'll be there with you. We'll bring the clubs.
I have not yet been invited. It's going to be
if Topgolf does not invite Senator Susan Kent, i.e. the Woodbury Newsnet, to this thing, something is wrong. There's a travesty, is what I'm saying.
There you go.
All right. Thank you for that. Because, it's funny. We're small town radio out here, and we still do the local, funeral announcements and this gal and that gal. One of the biggest radio shows up here in Fairmont back in my day. And I'm not going to remember the gal's name, but they're going to hate me for that. But she'd come on, and it was just the gossip. Oh, did you hear Mary Jane's daughter from St. Olaf came back home and saw mom? It was that kind of thing. Now, it goes away. It's not a sensationalism murder somewhere, but it brought a town together, and that stuff is gone. So hopefully Woodbury Newsnet can fill the void. Fair enough?
Yep. I spoke to the Lions last night, and they're all excited that we're here. So, yeah.
Did you bring glasses? Is it the Lions that use glasses? And
yes.
Is it? It is. Yeah, I remember something.
They have a great raffle. Their first annual raffle for our Woodbury Lions. Yeah.
Oh, well, $5 for a ticket. What's that? We'll promote them all weekend. 25. What can I win? Hopefully it's a huge cash prize. I got to go to break. We'll come back. We'll talk about what happened in the state of Minnesota. Boy, that first break went fast. We've got her, Senator Susan Kent. Are you squinting at me? Or are you happy with me? Or you can't read your television? God, I hate. Thank you. Back after this.
Dust from livestock buildings can be harmful to your animals and to you. Coughing animals can lead to costly vet visits and other serious health problems. Now there's an environmentally safe solution for your dust problems. It's called DustLock. DustLock can control the dust all summer long with just one application. Protect your animals and your health with DustLock. Learn more at dustlock.com.
There are many ways to explore Alexandria. Some like to experience the outdoors and all the fun winter in Minnesota can provide. Pick your favorite way to get in touch with nature. Others like to explore downtown in the warm comfort of a boutique or gathered around a table with friends. You can do all of that or relax and do nothing at all. Come explore Alexandria. Start planning at explorealex.com.
You don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on The Al Travis Show.
We've got Senator Susan Kenton with us, and we absolutely love having her on because I like to set her up with a unplausible situation and have her come up with the right answer. I want to do this. The question is going to be who won. We got done with the House. The budget got done, $66 billion. Who won? Both sides are declaring victory. Both are slamming the football. But here's Al's analogy, then I leave it to you. When my wife and I get a bump, got extra money at the end of the month, something came in, we didn't expect, whatever. We don't then say that's the new norm. Al might need some paver bricks I want to put out under the grill. Great, we got enough money for that. I go to the store and I buy and I put it in. But if that money doesn't show up next month, I'm not saying, wait, no paver brick money, I'm being cut. The fact that we went in $54 billion 4 years ago, had the $18 billion extra last time, got us to 71. I get it. But then to spend it in such a way, and we call it one-time money, and a lot of this wasn't, that we're cutting to $66 billion on both sides. I can't believe what we were able to cut this so hard. From 54 to 66 is almost a 25% increase in 4 years. The idea that they're arguing with me, it was so hard to cut stuff. Am I wrong? They should have taken that $18 billion. If you want to spend it, Dems want to spend it. You spend it on the stuff we one-time buys, right? My paver bricks. You buy it. You don't say, well, it better stay that way forever. Otherwise, we're going to be short. I don't like the sales job that people got. Am I fair with that? Who won this thing? And I'll leave it to you.
Oh boy, you just asked
Unpack. I know. I just puked it on you. I'm sorry. Right. I did. But it's what frustrates me when I do this.
So, I mean, my net takeaway, and I've been trying to digest this, and my number one takeaway in this whole thing is I'm so glad I retired from the legislature.
That's what you got out of this? I'm so glad I'm glad.
That's what I got out of this. That is what I got out of this. Yes. So anyway, but beyond that, looking at it, I mean, you and I have had the conversation over the past couple of years that, the budget passed in 2023 did include a ton of one-time money that had been sitting around because they couldn't agree to spend it previously, federal money that was there, different things like that. And your analogy about the paver bricks is exactly right. You don't go, if you get a good Christmas bonus, you don't go buy a big new house because you got one-time money, because that's an ongoing payment you're going to have to make, right? And so you don't use one-time money to hire a bunch of staff in something, right? Because they're going to keep working. You absolutely outline that. But but the dynamics that affect the budget are not as clear cut as my dear friend I would suggest you have outlined, because they did spend the one-time money in a one-time way for the most part, I'm pretty sure. Because when you get those budget projections, the MMB gives the legislature a very clear, okay, this is the, looking into the out years, what the money is going to be like. And they literally have to make a budget, not just for this 2 years, but certainly for the next 2 years. And they are thinking about what's going on beyond that. So, the idea that it was just, we can have a conversation about whether they should have spent all the all-time money, and they didn't spend all the all-time one-time money. They left some of that for these very reasons. But then we also did see changes in the underlying dynamics with Medicaid costing more and Medicare costing more. And so and schools, the costs just kind of keep going up for different reasons. We can go into it. And it's not because people are spending crazy. It's because there are more needs to do the same things for a bigger number.
Do you agree that to tell me you went to $66 billion is terribly hard to cut to that? It just seems weird. It's 25% more than 4 years ago. That's an 8% every year. God.
Cutting is always hard. Cutting is always hard because you're always, you're always making somebody mad. You're always, making cuts that are going to have meaningful impacts on people's lives, And so, and I remember when we went into the minority in the Senate, and when the DFL went into the minority in the Senate, and after the 2016 election, we had 4 new freshmen, young men, and they were, so tired, and it was so hard because, I said, oh, just wait till we get back in the majority, because, it's really hard when you're fighting with your friends. When you're in the majority, it's a different kind of a fight, right?
That's a
it's
very
really
good point.
easy when you're in the minority to fight against the majority. And so there's sort of crazy, weird dynamics that go with it. And so my ultimate take on this is, as I hate this expression because I think it's a cheap out. But,
but here comes but.
When people say, nobody's happy, so everybody wins, kind of a thing. Everybody had to sacrifice on something that was very important to them, and so nobody got everything they wanted. But in a very divided legislature, they did get it done, and I'm actually a little pleasantly surprised with the way this is sort of. Not with all the outcomes necessarily exactly, but given the path to how we got here, yay.
All right. I just with the last 2 minutes, I think the Republicans that have said this on the show a lot, you don't draw lines in the sand when you have to know they're going to fall. No new tax. I get no new. We saw that with Bush, and you just got to stop.
I'm sorry, that's been going on for 40 years.
I know, but we don't. That's my point.
What my answer to that one was when people would ask me if I would take that pledge or some other pledge. I said, I don't sign pledges. I take an oath to do my duty.
That'd be a better thing, because now we had increased taxes just on the cannabis. Al could give a crap. Let's be honest. So, but it's once again we say one thing, but we don't really necessarily. We're going to stand tall. I want to get to 2 things, but we won't get to it before the break. I think Representative Hortman and Senator Murphy did upstanding work. They were forced to take some votes because of a pinky swear thing they did with the group of management that I don't think most folks understand. I want to give them all the credit for that, but I'm not going to have time to do it on this side of the break, so I don't want to trap you in there. On the other hand, I think a lot of folks did a lot of standing and showing and bloviating about bills that we're going to...
In the legislature?
There's that sarcastic tone. You can hear it, can't you, people? When you listen, there's that sarcasm. She's got it. We'll be back after this and talk. How does your husband ever know when you're mad at him? I don't know. We'll be back after this with more on the Al Travis Show.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all